welcome to Freedom News Basket. 45 minutes of major happenings about Liberia, Africa, and elsewhere. And I'm Stephen Compton, anchoring this midweek edition of the news program. In the headlines, survey conducted by a Swedish-based non-governmental organization, the Folks Bernardo Element, with fundings from the Swedish embassy near Monrovia, paints a negative picture on accountability in Liberia's security, judiciary, and governance system. President Joseph Boakai suspends with immediate effect the Director General of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Ibrahim Kuruman, and two deputies, calls for investigation into the circumstances that may have sparked up what he termed as disorderly act by the suspended officials. Dismissed officers of the Executive Protection Agency threatened to retaliate to officers of the Liberia National Police if their plight recently presented to the House of Representatives is not addressed by the government. And away from whom African National Congress has suggested forming a government of national unity after losing its parliamentary majority in last week's election. Duties of these, the news bulletin, and the actual voices of the news makers are all coming up very shortly. Up next is the bulletin of news with Thomas Pedro Rula. Good evening, Rula.
A survey conducted by a Swedish-based non-governmental organization, the Folklore Ballot Academy, with funding from the Swedish embassy near Monrovia, has painted a negative picture on accountability in Liberia, security, judiciary, and the governance system. The survey, entitled Beyond Checks and Balances: How Accountability Overnight Mansions Works in Liberia, Security and Justice System, was jointly authored by Ibrahim Yan and Laura Clay. Speaking during the release of the report, Dr. Yan said the report, which was based on responses from a cross section of people, including magistrates, chiefs, police officers, and among others, were conducted in Grand Jide, Grand Bassa, Grand Kitmo, Nima, and Maserado counties. According to Dr. Yang, the culture of patronage that existed among political parties where presidential appointees demonstrate loyalty to the appointing power rather than working in accordance to the mandate of their institution has inflated the security and judiciary system of Liberia. Dismissed officers of the Executive Protection Agency have threatened in their numbers if their plight recently presented to the House of Representatives is not addressed by national government. It has been reported that over 300 members of the EPS were allegedly dismissed unlawfully by Semgay, the current boss of the entity. Addressing a team of journalists Wednesday in Congotown, the spokesperson for the Executive Protection Service, Godfrey Weah, said the alleged action by Joda Gay is an affront to their constitutional rights. He asserted that their dismissal has a trickle-down effect on their livelihood, noting that the children are without school at the moment. Officer Weah, meanwhile, called on the government, international partners, and the Liberia Council of Churches to intervene or risk joint justice within the country. Also speaking, a wounded officer of the EPS expressed disappointment over the manner in which he and other officers of the Presidential Protection Agency were dismissed. He explained that he got wounded while on duty during the regime of former Liberian President George Weah, who alleged that Joda Semgay has since refused to cater to him. Maserado County District Number 10 Representative Yeka Koluba has expressed disappointment in the leadership of the House of Representatives for sending him out of session during Tuesday's session day. It can be recalled the District 10 lawmaker was ordered to leave the chamber of the House during regular session this week. Appearing on local radio station Wednesday, Representative Koluba said the action was an infringement on his right as sitting representative within the country. Koluba mentioned that the legislative branch is there to work for the people, not to carry out road constructions, as he claims. He stated that all the community chairmen in his district are aware of $100,000 United States that is in the budget for district development, something he said is yet to be presented to lawmakers. At the same time, he predicted President that the Liberian legislative branch of government will be worse than the 54th National Legislature. Commerce Minister Amin Muda has informed the plenary of the House of Representatives that the price of 25 kg bags of rice has not been increased and remain at US $16.75. According to the Commerce Minister, anyone for increasing the price of the commodity will be therewith in accordance with the law and highlighting the interventions of President Joseph Boakai in maintaining the price of rice on the market. Minister Muda was summoned to appear before the House plenary on Tuesday, accompanied by his legal counsel to address concern regarding the potential contempt charge screening from perceiving inconsistent in his communication presented to the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, the plenary of the House of Representatives has unanimously decided to pardon the Commerce Minister of contempt charges following his expression of regret for the inconsistency within his communication to that august body. Ahead of the Liberia Football Association April 2026 elective congress, two of the frontrunners for the presidency have signed a collaboration going into the upcoming process. On Wednesday, businessman Chris Jiblewia and former Liberia Football Association Vice President for Operation Casio Anthony Cole signed the paperwork in Monrovia. Speaking to a team of journalists at the signing ceremony, Chris Jiblewia alleged that the current administration of the country's football governing body has failed in improving the sports across the country. Weah, who is not connected to former President George Weah, said they, as collaborators, will work together as a team to unseat Mustafa Raji as president of the Liberia Football Association. For his part, Cassia Anthony Cole said it is time for Raji to be changed as the president of the Football Association. According to him, they are doing everything to transform football after 2026 when they are announced as winners of the elective congress. Cole used the occasion to call on stakeholders of the sports to join the collaboration in moving football forward and taking it to another level. He at the same time appealed to Liberian football lovers to remain kind as the winning days of the national team of Liberia will return after the 2026 elective congress. Bombing County Superintendent Miata Dolet is calling on Western Clusters Limited to halt its mining operations within the county, aided by President Joseph Boakai's mandate. Recently, President Joseph Boakai placed moratorium on the company for its failure to meet up with the agreement signed with the government of Liberia. Superintendent Miata Dolet noted that the Western Clusters Limited is carrying out serious mining activities within the county since the president made the pronouncement. She spoke to a team of journalists on Tuesday in Tottenham, Bombing County. The Better Future Foundation has called on the national legislature to allot fundings for unifying programs in and outside of Montserrat and other counties. The foundation executive director, Reverend Augustine Akoi, said the government needs to attract seriousness to unification of the Liberian people. Reverend Akoi made the call at a press conference held at the grounds of the Capitol building in Monrovia on Wednesday evening. After speaking, the chairperson of the Voices of Elders in Liberia, Marine Harson, encouraged the government to cater to elderly statesmen and women who have contributed their quota to the country over the years. According to her, some of the elders still have the necessary skills and qualifications to contribute to the building process of the country. Following thorough screening and validation of former Liberia refugees who were in Ghana, the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has informed local and international partners and the general public that the information that was provided by its executive director, Patrick Wuzid, at the May 28, 2024 MECA press conference was incorrect. The LRRC said its executive director, Patrick Wuzid, was misinformed by the statisticians that work for the entity. The screening of former Liberian refugees established that only an average number of the returnees were on drugs. Details of the actual number of those on drugs, according to them, will be disclosed in a subsequent time. The LRRC hereby apologized for the misinformation that was provided to the public on the percentage released by the government on its national platform. The LRRC, as the government leading agency responsible for the repatriation, reaffirmed its commitment to providing the public with accurate information surrounding the repatriation process of Liberians from the Buduburan camp in Ghana. President Joseph Yuman Boakai has, with immediate effect, suspended without pay the Director General of the Liberia Justice Enforcement Agency, Ibrahim Kurman, the Deputy Director General for Administration, and the Deputy Director General for Operation, Hassan Fatika. The president's decision came a day after tensions erupted between the suspended head of the entity, Ibrahim Kurman, and his deputy for operations. President Boakai, through an executive mansion released on Tuesday, ordered an investigation into the circumstances that may have sparked up what he termed as disorderly act by the two suspended heads of the LDA. The release further quoted the Liberian leader as saying that such act threatens public peace and undermines the government fight against illicit drugs. Following the suspension of the leadership at the Liberia Justice Enforcement Agency by President Joseph Yuman Boakai, two of the deputies have defended their action against their boss, Colonel Ibrahim Kurman. Late Tuesday, President Joseph Boakai suspended Colonel Ibrahim Kurman, the Director General of the Liberia Justice Enforcement Agency, Gwenu Kwan, Deputy Director General for Administration, and Hassan Fatika, Deputy for Operation, as a result of the fist fight that erupted among them. Speaking on a local talk show, the suspended Deputy Director General for Operation expressed regret for his action but defended it because he was provoked by his boss. For his part, the suspended Deputy Director General for Administration defended his action against Colonel Kurman and said he owes no apologies to his boss. Bon County Electoral District Number 5 Representative Eugene Colley has called for the protection and restoration of land for future generations, serving as the keynote speaker at the World Environmental Day celebration in Bahapodu County. Representative Colley emphasized that land is a vital resource not only for the present but also for the future. The Bon County lawmaker highlighted its crucial role in sustainability and development, food security, climate change, migration, and biodiversity across Liberia. According to him, the land is the constituents of the future, noting that it holds key sustainability development, food security, climate change, and among others. The World Environmental Day celebrated globally since its inception in 1972. This year focuses on the theme accelerating land restoration, just resilient, and desertification process. This theme, according to the lawmaker, underscores the urgent responsibility to protect and restore land for the benefit of future generations. And away from Liberia, South Africa, African National Congress, the ANC, has just suggested forming a government of national unity after losing its parliamentary majority in last week's elections. It said it has reached out to all parties, but negotiations are still underway. The results indicate that the South Africans want all parties to work together. The ANC spokesperson told the BBC the ANC got about 40% of the vote, with the Centre of Right Democracy Alliance (DA) on 22%, the MK party of former President Jacob Zuma on 15%, and the Radical Economic Freedom Fighter on 9%. This was the first time the ANC has lost its majority since Nelson Mandela led it to federate in the first democratic election following the end of the racist system of the apartheid in 1994. Well, that's the shape of the bulletin of news, and the foreign news is back to you for the continuation of freedom.
We'd like to say many thanks to you, Thomas Kojo-Arura, for the news bulletin, inclusive of the foreign development. We'll take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you voices of the news makers. Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us. Let's not take our first development. Dismissed officer of the Executive Protection Agency have threatened to come out in their numbers if their plight recently presented to the House of Representatives is not addressed by national government. It has been reported that over 300 members of the EPS were allegedly dismissed unlawfully by Senge, the current boss of the entity. Addressing a team of journalists Wednesday in Congo Town, the spokesperson of the group, Godfrey Weah, said the alleged action by Director Gray that's gay is an affront to their constitutional right.
We are gathered here today to express our grievances to the public. Agents of the EPS who have been serving this country since 2018. Our service is to Liberia as it states. No individual has the right to deny us the right to serve our country. We were all illegally dismissed by Director Sam Gay without no reason. We respect the rule of law. That's why we will still maintain order until the last results. We have the right to work as a citizen of this country, of Liberia, and our family also have the right to survive. Our dismissal is illegal, and our family are suffering. We are calling on the government and international community to act as soon as possible to correct the wrongs before it gets under control. This is urgent. School is about to reopen, and our children need to be in school. It is our right, and we want our right to be restored by the EPS authority. If these kinds of things are happening in Liberia today that nobody want to talk about it, it gives rise to jungle justice. When it comes to some of these things in Liberia, that nobody is looking at it to discuss it because it happened to us today and nobody want to discuss it, I think this country will become lawless, and we don't want that. Our silence is not a sign of weakness. It is because of the high level of respect we have for the Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Senate Pro Tempore of the Liberia Senate. We have filed a complaint, and they promised to respond to us, and we are still waiting for that response. If our concerns are not addressed at the shortest possible time, we will surely get out. And this time, with our entire family, who are also going through suffering because of Dr. Senge illegal actions towards us.
Godfrey Weah at the same time threatening to retaliate to officers of the Liberia National Police if they prevent their action.
We are asking the police to stay out of this matter and let the EPS director and his EPS deal with it with this issue as EPS and EPS. We will not relent to respond to any attack from any police officer or whosoever that will be sent to stop us for seeking justice. We will defend ourselves because it is our right to defend ourselves. Director Senge needs to correct the wrongs or else things will get worse. Correct the wrong. Correct the wrong.
The spokesperson of the group, Odon the Baron, dismissed officer of the Executive Protection Agency there speaking. The Swedish embassy near Monrovia has painted a negative picture on accountability in Liberia's security sector, the judiciary, and governance system. The survey, entitled Beyond Checks and Balances: How Accountability and Oversight Mechanism Work in Liberia's Security and Justice System, was joint author by Dr. Abraham Yen and Lauria Clary. Speaking during the release of the report, Dr. Yen said the report, which was based on responses from across the country, include magistrate, chiefs, police officers, court administrators, was conducted in Grand Jida County, Grand Bassa, Grand Cape Mount, Nimba, and Monserrado counties.
Of attaining a security sector that is democratically controlled, with oversight from civilian authorities, accountable to the citizens, and institutionally effective and efficient. We found that that was difficult in the practice. And so this is what we went to find. We went to look for what is in practice as compared to what is written in all of the strategies and in all of the theoretical reports that have emerged over the last 20 years since the end of the Civil War. I mean, that the existing challenges in the sector, if it in any way impact their own ethical values. Yes, some of them are very committed to the work they do, but they lack the tool that they need to engage with the society. For instance, a police officer who is receiving a crime report and needed to act at a particular point, but there is no vehicle. But then he thinks he must follow this case. So he's constrained in the field to ask the complainant or call the paramount chief to purchase gasoline for his motorbike or to pay for the motorbike to take him from one location to another. And that story is replete across the rural area. Almost all of the paramount chiefs suggest that they have to literally transport the police before the police respond to crimes. And that is the practice. And so some of them will literally tell you that we want to work, but we don't have the tools, we don't have cars. Even when we have the cars, there's no budgetary allocation for gasoline. And so obviously, that brings enormous challenge, a significant challenge to the ethical value of somebody willing to act, but doesn't have the capacity to act. So that is a significant challenge for them. But then they have to do it because that is the only way they are capable of responding in their line of duty. So those stories were across not just the police, but even the court. For the court administrator to even conduct oversight visits across the jurisdiction. The Supreme Court judges, there are 5 judges, and so the jurisdictions of the court is divided into 5, with each judge having an oversight responsibility over a particular region. So that also, just the lack of the resources, the capacity, and the absence of an efficient institutional mechanism to facilitate their work cannot even allow them to conduct the oversight visits over the judges in the remaining counties.
Dr. Abraham Yen there giving an update on a recent survey conducted by the Swedish embassy near Monrovia on the theme Beyond Checks and Balances: How Accountability and Oversight Mechanism Work in Liberia's Security and Justice System. Following the suspension of the leadership of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency by President Joseph Boakai, 2 of the deputies have defended their actions against their boss, Colonel Abraham Kuruman. Late Tuesday, President Joseph Boakai suspended Colonel Kuruman, Director General of the LDEA, Bawu Kou, Deputy Director General for Administration, and Hassan Fadika, Deputy Director General for operation as a result of a fist fight that erupted among them. Speaking on a that's local radio station, the suspended Deputy Director General for Operation at the LDEA, Hassan Fadika, expressed regret for his action but defended it because he was provoked.
To be honest with you, I regret the incident that occurred. The shooting has happened. But when the public hear the series, the thing or event that preceded the Peter, that extreme provocation, they will understand, and they will understand why people get extremely provoked to react like that. The video explains a minute portion of a series of events that have been happening at the LDEA. I'm a law enforcement professional. I made a conscious choice to come to Liberia and fight just crime. I'm very passionate about my job. I'm very passionate about what I do, especially when I walk into the ghettos and see young people that are faced with the devastating effect of this drug. I get emotional, I get teary eyes, and it hurts me. If there's a culture of mutual respect, if there's a culture that you see me as a colleague, not as a subject, that you can talk down to me, make you the larger decision, and then the most important thing, betray the oath that you took to serve and protect and work with the drug cartel. I cannot work under that enrichment. I will call you out because it's wrong. And my ethic will not allow me to look the other way, whether we're from the same ethnic group, whether you recommended me or whether I've known you forever. I can never do that. I can never look the other way. If the environment is healthy, is based on mutual respect, I love my country. I don't care who is at the helm of the authority. Alone, I'm telling you that I'm a patriot. I don't mind working with anybody, including my boss and Director Kroma. But the condition has to be set, and the investigation will go on to look into allegations that were levied against him and to see whether there's an iota or truth into what we're saying, especially his association with drug cartel. If he's involved with drug cartel.
For his part, the suspended Deputy Director General for the administration defended his action against Director Kroman and said he owes no apologies for his action.
The issue at the DEA should not be reduced to a matter of insubordination to a superior officer. I think it's unfair for anyone to make that attempt. This is a matter of national security. This is a matter that involves the lives of millions of people in this country. It's a very important matter that we must all look at. And anyone attempting to reduce it to some issue of power struggle or insubordination to superior officer is simply being unfair to the people of this country. Honorable Kroma did what we refer to in law enforcement, as extreme provocation. Colonel Kroman did what anyone in my situation will respond exactly the way I responded, and I will not apologize for it. Now, it is important for us to clarify that in a law enforcement environment, a military and paramilitary environment, using F-war are not strange to that environment. So for anyone to equate it as a situation that was demonstrated in a church or in a mosque is also unfair. That was a law enforcement environment, and so those words are very, very common. What led to this incident was that after we returned from the Ministry of Justice, after we have notified Honorable Kroman that we were going to file an official complaint against him, and it's also accompanied by even an email. When we got back to the headquarters of the DEA, Kroman had already deployed extremely strange and dangerous people across the entire DEA. When we made the goal to attend the meeting, I was approached by individuals who I've never seen, and they told me that Uncle Kroman said nobody should enter his office with weapon. Now I want to give it step by step. In a law enforcement environment, if an individual or a head of agency or a supervisor does not want his subordinate officer to enter his office with weapon, they don't do it when the person
Voices of the dismissed officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, they're speaking. Well, we have an hour past the news presentation. This is a reminder that you are listening to the Wednesday, June 5, 2024 edition of the Freedom News Basket. One of the top developments we are carrying this evening, dismissed officers of the Executive Protection Agency threatened to retaliate to officers of the Liberia National Police if their plight recently presented to the House of Representatives is not addressed by national government. We will take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments. Welcome back. Let's now continue with more developments. The Better Future Foundation has called on the National Legislature to allocate funding to unification program in Liberia. The foundation's executive director, Reverend Augustine Akwe, said the government needs to attach seriousness to unification program in Liberia.
Change is substituting one thing for another. This is the time to
petition the legislature to provide appropriation for the celebration of National Unification Day, not here in the auditorium Liberia only, but in all of the counties, because this country is not reconciled. Integration have not taken place in this country, so that we can have appropriate program. Even the National Unification Monument in Vanyama is lying in ruin. We went there, we did assessment on Unification Day, we projected the images of that place. So we want that place to be renovated so that tourists can visit there and see the history of our country also. So we need legislative support, budgetary support to make sure that Unification Day program will be held, not only in Liberia, but the Unification Diaspora Initiative that we launched. We also ask that the president should have a quarterly meeting with the civil society organization so that civil society will understand the program, the development agenda of the country to be supportive of the development agenda.
Ahead of Liberia Football Association April 26 election, three of the front runners for the presidency have signed a collaboration going into the upcoming election. On Wednesday, businessman Chris Giblet, and former Liberia Football Association vice president for the operation, Cassette Cole, signed the paperwork in Monrovia. Speaking to a team of journalists at the signing ceremony, Chris Weird alleged that the current administration of the country footballing body has failed in approving the sport across the country.
Clubs and our followers and everyone out there, we would like to inform you today that we are aware that in Liberia and currently in our football there has been some issues. We know that the president of the Liberia Football Association has failed massively. We know football is very declining in our country, and we are also aware that our women team did extremely well And that effort is by some philanthropists that contributed. We do not give credit as well to the FA because of things that happen in Liberia football. If you already know the two individuals sitting here today, we have contributed massively in different areas to sports in this country. It's part of our individual differences. It's part of our ambition to have the FA. We decided that we're going to come together today and form a collaboration. As you can see by evidence of us sitting here together, going into the 2026 election, we have a collaboration. We're going to work together. We're going to ensure that football is changed and developed in Liberia. We want to also use this video to call on other stakeholders, other club presidents to come and join us. Let's come together at this point. It's not about who's going to be the head. It's about us working together. And Mr. Kasser and myself do understand that. We're going to work together as a team, and we're going to ensure that this president does not contest a third term. It is unprecedented. It has never happened before in the history of Liberia football. We know how the president have actually contested a third term. We feel that president is law. We've asked the president, and by our collaboration today is a signal that we're telling the president, please just give us a space, leave our football alone. We don't want you to go for third term. We come together. If you choose to go for third term, you know that this collaboration is a game over. So we want to send that message out very loud and clear. And we're asking others, other stakeholders to come and join us. Let's change Liberia football. We got a platform. Let's come together. Let's work together. We're open to.
For his part, Kasser Code said it is time for Mustafa Raji to be changed as president of the Football Association. According to him, they are doing this to transform football after the 2026 election.
When you define the word change, say it's change is substituting one thing for another. This is the time to substitute Mustafa Raji for this team. This team holds the gearbox in their hand that they are going to transform Liberian football for the better. I'm telling all stakeholders out there to get up now. Chris Jible and Kasser Anthony Quor is now the team. We are a team, and we are going into 2026 election to defeat the current administration. And this current administration is going away from our football for good. And we are going to transform this football for the Liberian people. Liberian, we ask you to come out in the numbers, celebrate your national team, come after 2026 because you are going to have a win on your stadium. Now the team is currently playing in Namibia. They are down 1-0. We are praying because we love this country. We are praying that they have a win. But in the event that they don't have the win, don't blame those guys. Those guys know how to play. They have the expertise, but we don't have the best administration to lead them. So with that being said, I'm asking all stakeholders to join this team. If you are sitting out there, you need to join this team to be one of the ECs, to be one of the executives. Come, join this team. This collaboration is not just about Chris Jible and Kasser Anthony Quor. This collaboration is about change. And as I said in my expose, change is substituting one thing for another. Always change the bad thing for the good thing. This is the good guys. The bad guys are there. Let's go and get them.
Kasser Code there speaking. Earlier, you listened to the voice of Chris Jible when they signed a collaboration for the upcoming Liberia Football Association election in April of 2026. Bombing County Superintendent Miata Dole is calling on Western Cluster Limited to halt its mining operation in the county and abide by President Joseph Boycott's mandate. Recently, President Joseph Boycott placed a halt order on the company for its failure to meet up with the agreement signed with the government of Liberia. Superintendent Miata Dole noted that Western Cluster Liberia Limited is carrying out serious mining activities in the county since the president made the pronouncement.
Yeah, I spoke to Western Cluster. I had a meeting with them briefly, and I'm meeting with them again tomorrow because we cannot override what the president has, what he has placed on them. So we have to support what the president say and what the president wants. And we just follow that and look up to the president because we know that he knows what is best for Liberia and what is best for Bumi and the citizens. And the president is doing his best for Bumi and citizens. He's seeking our interests, our well-being. So they're having some environmental day, planting trees, and they invited us, invited our office. So we'll be there. And anything that has to do with Bumi, we have to be there. So we'll be there. My direct message would be have to listen to what our president say and complied with what he wants, and also whatever they came up with that was they are supposed to give to Bobby Conte, they're supposed to give it to Bobby Conte. And we look forward to working with them. Right now, we are trying to adjust ourselves and straighten things because there was nothing was functioning yet. So right now, we're just trying to get settled in, get the office running. Nothing was in the office. No initial tools to work with. The office, air conditions and other stuff was, they vandalized the office, took these things out, took out some of the equipment to work with. Nothing to work with. I'm saying no tools to work with. So we just starting all over, trying to do the office all over, doing some renovation. Nothing. I did not even meet my predecessor. He died before I took over a day before. And after that, we have not had anyone to turn anything over to us. My first priority to make sure that we need the citizens of Bombay.
Mianta Dora is Bombing County Superintendent there speaking, and she's taking us on today's edition of the news program. But before we take leave of you, here are top stories. We close the photo this evening. Survey conducted by a Swedish-based non-governmental organization, the Folk Benandold Ekelemen, with fundings from the Swedish Embassy in Monrovia, paints a negative picture of accountability in Liberia's security, judiciary, and governance system. President Joseph Boakai suspends with immediate effect the Director General of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Abraham Kroman, and 2 deputies. Calls for investigation into the circumstances that may spark up what she termed as disorderly act by the suspended officials. Dismissed officer of the Executive Protection Agency threatened to retaliate to officers of the Liberia National Police if their plight, recently presented to the House of Representatives, is not addressed by national government. In a way from whom South African National Congress has suggested forming a government of national unity after losing its parliamentary majority in last week's election. On this note, we'd like to say many thanks to our news writer, correspondents, editors for making this Wednesday, June 5, 2024 edition of the news program a success. Thomas Kojo Rula was here with the news bulletin, inclusive of our foreign development. I'm Stephen Compton. I'm God. Thanks for listening and watching.